Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov gang. I'm Josh Brewster, filling in for Jamie Glazov. And by the way, I should take a minute to thank Jamie Glazov for having me come in and guest host some of these shows this summer while Jamie's away working hard. Okay, here we go, folks. The dream team. Susan Olson, Two Chicks Talking Politics, LATalkRadio.com. Dwight Schultz, Murdoch from the A-Team, DwightSchultzFansite.nl. And over here, Susanne Reyto, author of a book you need to go get right away, Pursuit of Freedom. Okay, folks, let's get on to a topic that is unfolding. And every week that we meet here, the story unfolds a little more. We talked last week about Huma Abedin, the Deputy Chief of Staff to Hillary Clinton. And we talked about the relationship, the evidence of the relationships that's coming out between her father and the Muslim Brotherhood and her mother, who was a founder of the Muslim Sisterhood. This week, information has surfaced about the Muslim Students Association. Muslim Students Association, and again, I don't want to tar everybody with the same brush, but the fact is, the Muslim Students Association has certainly produced quite a number of terrorists and people who have wanted to be involved in terrorism. There's a great piece at Pajamas Media by Patrick Poole, and there's some great pieces at frontpagemag.com for you to check out. I want to start with Dwight Schultz tonight on this issue. Dwight, I've said last week, I have no interest in smearing the reputation of Huma Abedin. I know nothing about this one, but I'm going to say no. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. It is perfectly fair for Michelle Bachmann to express these concerns. Only 5 of our 535 representatives, or whatever the number is, fill me in if I'm wrong, expressed any concern about this. It's only 1%, Dwight. And I got to say, considering what the Muslim Students Association has produced, I think these are concerns that are serious, and I'm really sick of our media not being able to handle it.
Well, what Jamie did over at frontpagemag.com in his interview with Andrew McCarthy.
It's a great piece.
Who links to Walid Shubat, who links to Andrew Boston. The amount of information that has just come out about Huma Abedin and her term as a assistant editor on the Journal of Muslim Minority Affairs is an extraordinary. It's extraordinary.
It's straight up Muslim Brotherhood.
Because what Walid Shubat discovered was that from Saudi Arabia, there was a manifesto which is linked directly to the memorandum from the 1991 Muslim Brotherhood FBI memo, which is that they are point blank attempting to subvert the United States of America. It's right there in black and white, and Huma Abedin, as an assistant editor, and her mother and her father, all directly connected to the Journal of Muslim Minority Affairs. There is you cannot remove her from the ideology that is fundamentalist Wahhabism, the ideology that is behind Al-Qaeda. And in fact, Nassif, the man who created the Institute for Minority Muslim Affairs, was a supporter of Al-Qaeda. Now, I just want to say this. This is not guilt by association.
Right.
It's guilt by chosen association. You're not an editor of that particular journal for 12 years without supporting the ideology that is spread from that journal.
And I am very concerned on that point, Susan, and we'll get to Suzanne. I'm very concerned about this knee-jerk reaction. It's Michelle Bachmann. She's a Republican. She's nuts. Oh, it's not the truth? Maybe it's the truth, Susan.
Well, I know it's the truth, but it really, really pains me, with all due respect to Michelle Bachmann, it really pains me to see that she is the front head, the figure that is in the news about this, because I know how the left react. You know, the left believe that counter-jihad and the concern about Islam is entirely fabricated by right-wing Christians, and the whole goal of it is not to defeat Islam, but to achieve a Christian theocracy.
And a lot of people are buying this.
Hey, I don't, in a lot of ways I don't blame them, because I really see, the dots are connecting, and they're scared to pieces. Their fear is genuine. They're afraid of Christian dominionism, and that really is, those are Don Quixote's windmills. That's not real. That truly is a tiny, fractured off minority. It's not a real threat. and they're up on a chair screaming over a tiny little mouse.
Yeah, they have no
when
sense
there's
of
a raging
proportion.
pit bull right
they
next
have
to them.
no sense of proportion at all. Suzanne, what are your thoughts on this?
My biggest problem is that we elect our officials, like Michelle Bachmann and the others, and 5 others, and those people have a responsibility and a duty to represent our needs and looking after our well-being. And these people who brought this, and I have to really emphasize, she did not accuse anybody.
That's right.
All
That's
she
right.
asked
That's
for
right.
was an investigation, an inquiry, and it is owed by our elected officials, politicians, to investigate and to clear the air. And then let's put it behind us.
And on that-
once it's clear, then we don't have to go over there
Yes,
anymore.
yeah.
But why are we hiding it?
I've said this before on this show, political
The
correctness.
suspicion is always worse.
Political correctness will be the death of the West, and I'll say it again, it's bluntly put and very crudely drawn. Here's the deal. If they were Caucasian, no one would put up with their crap. It's white. I'm serious.
Well, no.
No one would listen to
no,
this.
nobody.
This is insane.
Well,
go ahead.
There is something that, this goes along with what Susanne was saying, that predictability is a very important aspect of science. To be able to predict something over and over and over again. You have a theory. If you can predict the outcome of an experiment, and you can do it over and over and over again, one can say it's a successful experiment, and you are correct in your observations. How is it possible that a stupid actor and a bunch of other ordinary, everyday civilians could have looked at the Muslim Brotherhood, which has openly stated they want to destroy this country?
Yeah.
You could predict what was going to happen in Egypt.
And it happens.
And the President of the United States and his Secretary of State say, no, it's not, no, it's not, no, it's not.
Yep.
And the very first thing that the man does is demand the release of the blind sheikh, and now
correct.
you have a totalitarian dictator in place, and he's still invited to the White House.
I'm going to bring up something that the left has always bought into, and I want you to address this. Noni Darwish brought this up in her book, The Devil We Don't Know, which you should also go get that. Okay, here it is. And she's putting this out there, and I love this, because the left loves the word puppet. It's a U.S. puppet. Mubarak was a U.S. puppet. The Shah was a U.S. puppet. Blah, 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 blah. And she's saying, you've got it exactly wrong. When you get called a U.S. puppet in the Muslim world, Susan, it's because you believe in liberal values of tolerance for gays, tolerance for Jews, tolerance for Christians. That's what makes you a U.S. puppet. It's not that you're a puppet of our foreign policy, which is another one of their slogans that keeps them from thinking. It's that you become a puppet, quote unquote, when you adopt any kind of a nice relationship with the West. Or if you don't hate the Jews and you don't have problems with Christians, you are a puppet. And and Noni brings this up. What do you think about that?
It's absolutely true. It's so backwards. All I can say is that this is a result of people who just don't know really what they're talking about.
And don't want to know,
unfortunately,
Susan.
that's it. And I have friends that I dearly love who are pretty
they don't
far
wanna
to the
know.
left, and I adore them and I respect them, and they're some of the best musicians and artists that I know. But I've told them, you don't want to know what I'm saying. All you have to do, look at the Quran, read it. It's right here.
Let's go over to Susanne at the end of the
biggest
segment.
problem is that our kindness and goodness is considered weakness.
That's
and
right.
this is something we have to recognize. We have to know what makes them tick and what they expect of us. Only strength speaks.
that is
You don't give the
That's
bully
our
your lunch
only
money.
defense. We have to come from strength. They don't understand anything else. And I think part of it is we have to understand their mentality. If we don't understand them, how can we fight them? This is almost the same thing as until we recognize and call the enemy by its name, and we call them as they are, we can't fight them. And this is the same thing.
Dwight, finish this up.
In Andrew Bostom's, in the link from Andrew McCarthy's article with Jamie's interview, the editor, one of the editors that was at the Journal of Muslim Minority Affairs with Huma Abedin, he translated, his name is Asani, he translated one of his most favorite muftis. And I urge you to go there and read this, because he very clearly states what a Muslim is and what it isn't, what a Muslim isn't. If you do not believe in the subjugation of all who do not accept Islam, If you do not, you are not a Muslim. And he goes through the reasons and why you are to be humiliated and subjected by Islam, and why that is just.
That's right.
And Huma Abedin was sitting there in those offices while this was being written, and now she is giving counsel to our Secretary of State, Pantsuit.
Right. And you know what? And people buy into the myth that, listen, I'm Jewish, I can say this. They buy into the myth that she's married to a Jewish guy, Anthony Weiner, so it makes it okay. It doesn't matter to me. The truth is the truth, folks, whether you like it or not. We will continue this. Hold those thoughts, folks. We're going to roll right into our next segment, talking about this and other topics. And I will talk to you tomorrow night.